Hello and welcome back to Crimax. This week's episode will be covering probably the most dangerous serial killer we've covered thus far, Israel Keyes. Before our fact, I'm going to allow my beautiful woman to dive a little bit deeper into our synopsis.
Oh, you're going to allow me?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to tell the story of Israel Keyes today. I'm going to tell it how, the police found out about him, because, that's the best way to tell it, because I don't know that much about his childhood. So, go ahead and tell me the fun fact. Also, this serial killer, I'm probably going to mention every single unsolved case from this point forward, because that's what I think of. He's dangerous. What's our fact?
So today's fact comes from more of a security standpoint of view, since I am, I do network security and, anything along those lines. So for anyone that's ever used a ATM or a gas pump, anything that they've had to put their debit or credit card in that's outside of a building, you always want to physically check the machine. Make sure that those points, that keypad, as well as where you put your debit or credit card in, are completely flush and almost built into the machine. If there's any lips or anything that isn't flush with the machine, chances are if you take and grab it and start wiggling it, it'll probably pop off. This is becoming more notorious these days, that people in the middle of the night will come in and slide things that are perfect replicas and they look like they actually belong there, when in fact they are designed to steal and store your information. So again, anytime you go to an ATM or a gas pump, make sure you physically check the machine, make sure everything is flush and you can't readily pull something off, short of actually prying it off. Just make sure you can't actually pull something off.
I like to know that I'm safe from this one because I don't pump gas.
Yeah, of course. No, I do.
Yes, you do, honey. And thank you for it. But are you ready to get into today's case?
Yep, let's do it.
So today we're talking about the case of Israel Keyes, who was born on January 7th, 1978 in Richmond, Utah. He has 4 confirmed victims. There's at least 7 more that we have information on, but cannot confirm the bodies due to Israel Keyes being dead. And he was active as a serial killer from 2001 to 2012. Now, this is, people question if Israel Keyes is probably, the most prolific serial killer of all time. We don't know, because you cannot track this man. It's some crazy shit. I do think he's a horrible person. Of course, he's a murderer, but I also find this guy kind of intriguing and smart at the same time. And I feel like you will too, honey.
No, if he's got away with it for so long, we'll see.
I just feel like the mysteriousness.
Well, I like to see and try and understand the psychology. So how he did it is what's going to intrigue me.
I think it's the preparation that goes into it that really intrigues me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yes, horrible person, we're not denying that, but I am still intrigued by how people work.
His methodology.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's why a lot of people like true crime, is how the mind works. So I'm going to tell this case the way the police found out, like I said in the beginning, and we're going to start off with the case that got him caught, so that we got the information, we found out who Israel Keyes was. So on February 1st, 2012, 18-year-old Samantha Koenig was at her job in Common Grounds, which is a tiny little coffee stand in Anchorage, Alaska. We don't have coffee stands here in Florida, but it's a little tiny hut, like a snow cone thing. I only see them for snow cones, a little hut. Only one person's in there working.
Wait, are you telling me this serial killer is in Alaska?
Yeah, he's from Alaska.
Thank God it's not Texas or California. Please tell me he doesn't have a tie to Texas or California.
He has a tie to every state. 35 locations that I can tell you of.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Is one of them Texas or California?
Yeah, babe.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You keep every episode that's not Texas or California, you're over here celebrating. You did last week too. You're like, oh, Nevada's too close.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It came back to Texas. Or, I'm sorry, California.
Yeah. It was on the edge. It's Nevada and California. You have a thing against certain states, babe. I'm going to give you a straight up Texas case next week if you don't stop.
Well, I'm just saying. That's all the serial killers and whatnot are apparently over there.
I know.
What, does the East Coast not have any good ones?
No, we're too busy drinking apparently.
And milking cows, I guess.
Milking cows.
Cow tipping.
Whatever New York does, I don't know. But she was at her job at this coffee stand in Anchorage, Alaska. Her boyfriend got there to pick her up after work a little after 8 p.m., but he looked for her. It looked like the stop was closed, there was no one inside. It didn't look like a break-in, and Samantha wasn't there. There was no sign of forced entry, and he didn't expect anything wrong. Maybe he thought like, oh, maybe he's late. Maybe she got off early and just got a ride home somewhere else. So he went home, and she wasn't there. Her boyfriend got a text from her phone several hours later saying that she was tired of everything and running away from her life for a vacation. She was reported missing and her job was contacted, so they checked the surveillance footage from the Common Grounds coffee shop that night. At 8 p.m., a customer shows up, goes to the window, looks like they're about to order. Samantha backs up, puts her hands up, turns the lights off inside the coffee shop, and you can see a man jumping through the little sliding glass window to come get her. It's suspected like, oh, this is going to be like a robbery, right? That's not what happens. She's abducted from the scene, and a nearby store with cameras got a glimpse of her trying to escape, but the man grabbing her 1 minute later and them leaving the scene in a white pickup truck. So Samantha was reported missing. She'd been missing. All the family was getting interviewed. Seems they had anything to do with it, and they were running out of leads. But at that point, Samantha's boyfriend got a follow-up text from Samantha's phone 3 weeks after she originally went missing and after the FBI had already gotten involved. The text said, Connor Park sign under pic of Albert, ain't she purty? So the family went there and so did the police, and they found a bag underneath a missing dog sign, and they went through the bag. Of course, the authorities went through the bag. They found weird things. So it contained paper, a blurry picture of Samantha with the current date on a newspaper with her hair, had a braid in it, which Samantha never did, so they found that kind of odd. And her dad did ID her from the picture and said, yeah, that's my daughter. It also had a ransom note asking for $30,000 in her bank account because he had her debit card and wanted to use it. Her account was accessed 3 times, making a $500 withdrawal every time because that was the limit the bank had for daily withdrawals, but the ATM footage shows someone that was fully covered up. So there's surveillance footage from every ATM anytime you use it, but you know, he was covered up, he's wearing sunglasses, you couldn't really see anything. So after the 3 $500 withdrawals, her card was not used for about 3 more weeks. Now, the next time her card was used was in Arizona, and this story originally took place in Alaska, so that's a huge difference. But there were no other clues except the fact that in the background of the ATM footage in Arizona, there was a white Ford Focus in the background. The card was also used in New Mexico and Texas. So like I said, there was a text sent from her phone and it led them to this ransom note and the picture of her. Now, when you see this picture of her that I'm showing you, what do you think?
She's been held for a while.
She looks traumatized, right?
Yeah.
And the picture of the newspaper is from the day that the text was sent, so it's a fresh newspaper.
And I mean, I can't really tell, but I mean, it's kind of a blurry, well, it's not really blurry, it's just kind of out of focus, but there are some spots on her skin that are kind of dark as if they could be bruises. So, I mean, she's got a lot of them if she's got them.
Yeah, that's actually a really great examination. When I see it, I see someone just like traumatized, like, you have to take this picture with this thing. It's freaky. But I will give you a little more insight on this picture in a little bit. But right now, we are in Texas, your favorite place. So they saw the white Ford Focus in the background of the ATM footage in Arizona, then tracked it to New Mexico and Texas. Now in Texas, a state trooper spotted the Ford Focus from the footage that had been released at a motel, saw the guy come out, followed the car, stopped him for a traffic violation, as one does to get his information. Because you can't just like see a guy and just, you know, pull them up for no reason. You gotta wait for an infraction.
Reasonable cause. It looks like the car they're looking for.
Yeah, reasonable cause, but you have to have more than that. Like, you can't just say, oh, this is a white Ford Focus. There's a million of them.
Yeah, but still, I mean...
You just wait for them to run a stop sign or not stop at a stop sign properly. That's all you gotta do. Anyways, the driver's license that was given from the man in the car was from Alaska, and they arrested Israel Keys on site. Samantha's belongings, including her debit card and phone, were found in the car, as well as a .22 handgun.
So a little pea shooter.
Yeah, you know, like a little pew-pew, like really cheap bullets and stuff.
Yeah, but they still make the point.
Yeah, only if you're shooting things off like a tin can or something. I mean, I wouldn't consider that like the most deadly weapon in the world.
No, but it can be.
It can be if you shoot him directly in the head. You know, it's as bad as that sounds. But anyways, they found a gun in his car and they found her phone as well as her debit card, which is weird to keep on you, dude. You're all the way in like across the country.
Well, apparently he can use it just about anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, making that kind of distance.
Yeah, I mean, he was making $500 a day doing it, so I mean, I guess you could just keep doing it. No one caught him. So they searched his home in Alaska after he was arrested and connected to her case, and he lives there with his girlfriend and daughter. So he had the white pickup truck that was seen at the site of the abduction, so they put the two pieces together that he had abducted her from the site and then had been using her debit card. Because originally they thought, okay, maybe this guy just found her belongings and just started using it. But to me, that doesn't make any sense if he has her PIN number, but that's what they originally thought. Like, oh, this guy doesn't have a criminal record. He had a DUI once. He was in the army. He's a straight up guy. Not so much. Not so much. So once arrested, Israel would not speak to authorities. He didn't want to give up information until he got what he wanted. Like, he was a very controlling guy. So he would not speak at all on the case until he was given a Snickers bar, an Americano coffee from Starbucks, and a luxury cigar. He was really trying to do it up in the interrogation cell.
It's a little weird.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I mean, even a cigar, I'm like, why a cigar? I mean, I guess it goes well with coffee, though. I mean,
I could just picture it. I mean, I guess if you're gonna be a big dog, I mean, you might as well have a cigar, so that way when they're in the room, you just puff it in their face.
I guess he really wanted to be like the boss bitch. He didn't want to give up any information.
He doesn't really look like a cigar smoker, though.
He looks like a little bird man. Like, I don't talk about people's appearances unless they're horrible fucking people. So this dude looks like kind of a bird.
So you talk about everybody.
Yeah, well, we usually talk about horrible people. So so once he was given what he wanted, Israel decided to go ahead and talk about it because obviously he was already caught for this case. There's no getting out of it at this point. So he spoke of this crime really casually. He had no emotion in his voice. He talked about it kind of la-zeda, very passive. So he chose the coffee stand that Samantha was working at because it was the only thing open around the area besides an IHOP late at night. Even though it was only 8 p.m., there was nothing around there that was open other than that. So he saw an opportunity and he took it. So he took her hostage from the scene, and he said that, like, I was telling her that I'd let her go. I'm just going to hold her hostage for a ransom. She said her parents didn't have any money. He said the, like, city would gather the money for the ransom and she would be let go. So she complied and didn't fight him. Israel took Samantha back to his house. So remember, I said he lived with his girlfriend and his daughter. They were home at the time. But he took her outside to a private shed. Now, this seems a little odd to me. The private shed that he had in his yard, which was in his front yard, was like nobody else was allowed in there. He called it like his little man cave area. Like, his girlfriend and stuff and his daughter were not allowed in that little room. That's kind of odd to me.
It's odd to have a shed in your front yard.
It's odd to have a shed in your front yard, but you also live in Alaska. I don't know how the landscape around there is.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, you have a private shed you're not allowed to look at. Your man cave. A shed?
Hell yeah, we all have to have our own little place.
Sure, but a shed?
Gotta have something.
It's kind of lame.
You're in Alaska. You build a small shed and put a heater in there.
I don't know.
You can't make it real big because
there wasn't much in there, though. It was really just like a empty room.
Yeah, it was enough to hold a hostage.
I guess, but this is the only time he ever killed where he lived. This is why he got caught for it.
Oh.
But he took her to the house. He blasted music out from the thing so no one could hear his cries. His daughter couldn't hear his cries and everything. He raped Samantha and then tied her up. He went back to the coffee shop afterwards, which is hella ballsy, by the way, to get the rest of her belongings. And then he came back to the home, strangled her, stabbed her, then put her in a box in the shed. The next morning, he goes with his family and flies to a tropical vacation and cruise for 3 weeks. This is why no one heard from Samantha for those 3 weeks after she went missing originally, is because he was on a tropical vacation. There's pictures of him on this vacation. He looks like he's having a good time. This dude, I think he's a sociopath because he doesn't really have emotions towards anything he does. But, like, the nerve to be like, oh, my family's home. I'm going to drug this girl, kill her in a shed, stick her in a box, and then go on vacation and just leave her there.
Living the dream.
Yeah, but what if your music wasn't loud enough and your, like, daughter was hearing this woman scream for her life? Seems like a lot. Seems like a lot of trauma to put on your kid, you know? But, I mean, these pieces of shit don't care anyways. So when he got home from his vacation, I hope he had a good trip. He got home and her body was frozen. So they live in Alaska. It was very cold outside, and her body was frozen inside the box. So he took her out and put makeup on her, sewed her eyelids open, and then took a picture of her with a newspaper to send for the ransom. So the picture I showed you, she had been dead for 3 weeks. He took his girlfriend's makeup and put makeup on her to make her look more lively, even though the picture is in black and white, sewed her eyelids open, and then sent the ransom for $30,000.
Whoa.
So now looking at the picture, how do you feel about it? She looks alive to me. Like, I don't think I'd know. I feel like she looks traumatized, but just straight up looking at it, I wouldn't assume that she's dead. Like,
totally believable.
Her dad was the one who identified her from the picture. That's believable.
Yeah, I mean, granted yeah.
You only know she's dead because you know she's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
But otherwise you wouldn't know.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I thought maybe because he sewed her eyelids open that she would look all distorted in the face, but no.
I mean, the only clue is that she looks like she doesn't have any emotion at all, which most person would be able to tell if she's scared or not, which she's got.
She looks scared.
Nothing. No,
I mean,
she doesn't.
Well, she looks traumatized. To me, it looks like a blank, traumatized look that you're, like, just done with it. It doesn't look like, I mean, I guess you just wouldn't know. I don't know what kind of makeup you used on her, though. Plus, her body is frozen, so she didn't get to decompose over 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah,
so that's a really good point of it.
Alaska.
Is it? Yeah. Because that sounds fucking horrible to me. Cold all the time? No. I mean, I know it's technically not cold all the time. People say it gets green and luscious and stuff. No, thank you. No, I'm good. So after he took the picture, he ended up taking her body apart, put it into pieces, and made 3 separate trips to the lake. So In Alaska, they do this thing, which makes no sense to me, called ice fishing. And there's like a little hut built around you when you're ice fishing. So he made 3 separate trips to go fishing. He would bring some body parts with him, drop it in the ice fishing hole, grab some fish, take the fish home to his family, and then make another trip to drop off body parts and bring home more fish. So he was multitasking, but that's how he got rid of her body. Now that he told the police officers and the FBI where to find her body, they actually went to the site and recovered piece by piece out of the water her body. I don't know if they were missing any pieces, though. I didn't get information on that. Now, after being told the story of Samantha's case and why he was arrested, police kind of suspected, since this dude was so chill and calm. There's hours and hours and hours of interviews with him on YouTube and stuff if you want to watch it. He's very just like nonchalant about everything. It's kind of weird. But the police suspected with his cold demeanor that he's done this before, and they found out that he was a frequent traveler. Israel agreed to continue talking to the FBI and give them anything they wanted to help solve these cases, but he had demands. He wanted to be executed within 1 year. Like, he had no intention of living that long. He said he was going to off himself or, get him executed within a year if he wants the information to be known. He also wanted no press coverage about this, which is weird because most serial killers, I'd say 80% of serial killers want the attention. They want the press coverage. They want to be known for how many people they killed. He wanted no press coverage. He explained that he didn't want his daughter to find out. He didn't want true crime documentaries and podcasts and shows to be made about him. He was caught in 2012. So it was before Serial, which really blew up the true crime space, but he knew true crime was blowing up soon, and he didn't want to be covered on these type of programs and stuff, but fuck you, dude, you're a serial killer. And he also didn't want his daughter to Google him and find out what he did. But my thought is, if you don't want your daughter to know what you did, don't fucking do it.
Right.
Just like the other night we were watching John Wick, and that Halle Berry character was like, I miss my daughter and stuff. I'm like, well, don't be a fucking whatever dangerous person if you don't want your kid to know. You don't earn the right to say, don't Google me. You don't earn the right to say you miss them if you're a shit person. So what do you think about his demands to not have any press coverage and to be executed within a year? For me, that's odd for a serial killer. Most people want the attention, Executed within a year makes sense to me, though, because most people on death row live there like 18 years up there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, for sure, he's definitely going to get executed. I wouldn't even wait a year.
Well, you need time so that you can get all the information and solve all the cases.
He can give information. It shouldn't take that long.
No, but you have to also think about, they give information, they have to go to the places, find the bodies.
Oh, I know that.
All that. It does take time. And also, a year isn't that long, so.
Yeah. But honestly, I'm a very, to an extent, merciless person.
I love that about you, honey.
So he can have whatever demands he wants, but I'll probably end up doing the opposite.
Right,
So if he has a demand that he would rather be killed a certain way, I'm gonna kill him another way.
Yeah, I do give him his coffee so he speaks that day.
Have demands that his wife and child don't find out. Too late. They're gonna be the first to find out.
I'm pretty sure his girlfriend knows at that point. He didn't come home. Pretty sure he knows.
Oh, yeah.
But the daughter, probably not. Probably doesn't know what's going on. But you don't earn the right to get to say what you fucking want.
Yeah.
But I do understand, give him, if he wants a Snickers bar, cool. He'll solve a murder for you that day. Give him a fucking Snickers bar. I get it. You're not sure yourself when you're hungry. Isn't that their saying? You're not yourself.
You murdered someone. Here's your reward for telling us about it.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I know. I get that.
So his point in saying, why he had these demands and everything, he's like, there's no way. I guarantee you there's no way in hell you'll be able to link me to these crimes without my help. And the police are like, oh, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, you're never gonna connect me. So in order to get the closure, they did try to agree to these demands. They didn't agree to the 1 year thing, but they were like, yeah, we don't have to tell the press about this. They'll eventually find out, of course, but because it's public record. Mm-hmm. But they were like, yeah, we're not going to do any press coverage about it.
Yeah, I was about to say, may not be any press coverage, but as you do it, just make it public record.
It is public record.
So I'm saying.
Press records are public.
So the press can do their own thing.
And people know who's getting executed.
Hey, there's some papers here.
Honestly, once you get the information from them, do what the fuck you want.
No, exactly.
Don't even give them the death penalty option. Lock them up forever. I don't care.
See, that's another good thing. But it depends, though, because at that point, we're paying for his leisure.
I get that, yeah. But at the same time, I kind of wanted to suffer.
Yeah. Some places are really nice.
Yeah. So law enforcement learned of his frequent travels and planning. He would take a trip and place a kill bucket in the area to use at a future time. Would you like to maybe wonder what a kill bucket is, baby? I just showed you a picture of one.
I watched Dexter. I know what a kill bucket is. Well, he has a kill tote.
It's a kill kit.
Yeah, there you go.
But these kill buckets contained weapons like guns or knives, a ton of cash, as well as restraints and other things used for his victims. Now, he didn't plan on specific murders ahead of time, so he would have buckets since he traveled all over the place, at least 35 locations that we know of. He would have buckets everywhere looking for the right opportunity. He would go into homes, find someone alone, cross someone in the woods. It didn't matter what sex, color, age, anything. He would just find any random opportunity, sexually assault all his victims regardless of gender, and he had no type. So he only shot one guy. He would stab people, he would suffocate people, he would strangle people. He had no type. There's no, oh, it's only males he's killing. There's none of that. It's only white people he's killing. It's none of that.
There was no clear motive.
Exactly.
Other than just
literally
spontaneous.
Random. Yeah, literally random. So it's really hard to connect these crimes. Usually, let's say Gacy, which we covered, all boys, all teen boys. Very easy to connect. All strangulation. But with him, there's no other thing to detect. That's it. Anything. So honestly, there is no way to solve these crimes, especially since they didn't find any bodies other than the one he led them to. So Israel next told the police about a couple that he killed named Bill and Lorraine Courier from Vermont that went missing, so they didn't find their bodies. They had a kill bucket that he used was 2 years old, so he had planted this kill bucket 2 years prior, then came back to it to use it in this crime, which makes no sense to me. You remember where you put something in Vermont 2 years ago? Really? Because I wouldn't. That's weird.
It depends. Our minds work differently.
I guess. I have a terrible memory about where I put things, but I don't know. To me, he waited 2 years, did not know if he was going to commit a crime, and then left the bucket there. Can you imagine how many buckets are out there right now that we never found?
I can imagine it.
Because he went everywhere. And, okay, here's the thing, though. Because it had weapons, cash, restraints, and stuff in it. I'm a terrible person, so I think I would take the cash to the bucket and not report it. You should report it. If I find a weapon that's suspicious, I may report it. But, if I find a kill bucket in the woods or something, I'm not going to know it's a kill bucket. I just see a bunch of cash. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. That's my cash now.
Oh, I know.
But, if it's a gun, maybe I would see if it's registered to something. Maybe I would turn into police. But they're not getting that cash. That's mine now.
Yeah, I know. I know you very well.
No, you don't.
It's okay. I would...
You would take the cash,
probably do the same thing.
Now, if it was just a knife, I'd probably take the knife home.
Yeah,
I wouldn't suspect anything of it. I'm not going to take a gun, though. That's just too iffy.
Oh, yeah. No.
However, I do know if you find a gun, people do magnetic fishing underwater and stuff and scuba diving, and they find weapons all the time. If you find a gun, you report it to them, they take it for you, they examine it. If they don't have a serial number or you don't find a link to it in 30 days, you can have the gun. They'll give it to you for free.
Nice.
I know. I feel like they should keep it for evidence for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you find a gun randomly, turn into police, they'll give it back to you if they don't find a link to it. But would you take the money? You would take the money, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Would you report the gun missing? Or found?
No,
okay.
I would definitely turn that in, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I would never say there was money in this bucket. Oh, there was no money here. What money?
I wouldn't even mention it.
I wouldn't either. I'm just saying. But they're like, oh, this looks like an Israel Keys bucket. Did you find any cash in here? Mm-mm, no. Mm-mm. Also, how much cash is it? I didn't find out how much cash it was. If he's leaving 35 buckets around the country, does he have a lot of money? Is he rich?
I doubt it. It's probably just money a little bit of money here and there. It's not like he made these buckets all at once.
No, it's just whenever he went on a trip, he would just drop them off places. So. But to me,
I'd probably say at least a couple $100.
I don't have a couple $100 to drop off 35 places. That's a lot of money.
Like I said, he didn't do it all at once.
I know, but still. I don't know, man. It seems like a waste of money to just leave it around waiting for 2 years later to come use it.
It worked for him for most of the part.
Yeah, for 11 years apparently.
Exactly.
But, if you ever find a murder bucket out in the woods, report it. Do the right thing. Yeah. So, of course, he didn't have a type or anything, like I said. But this couple, Bill and Lorraine Courier, that he killed in Vermont, they had not shown up to work. So someone went to check on them. They found that the car was gone. There was no sign of forced entry in the home, but the garage had a broken window, and that's the only sign that they had. So they had no idea where this couple went, and there was no leads, so it just went cold. Israel told the FBI about it, and he told the bodies were left in an abandoned barn in Vermont. But the barn was demolished after the crime had been committed. They didn't inspect I guess they didn't clean out the building. They just saw an abandoned building, just ripped it down. And so the FBI consulted with the people who tore the building down. And they're like, yeah, man, that thing smelled terrible. It smelled like decomposition. We figured it was some dead animals inside. We didn't worry about it and just strung it away. Just drove all the things away. So their bodies have not been recovered.
They drug it away but didn't find anything.
Well, they didn't inspect anything that was inside. They just big bulldozery thing, shovel it up, and then took it all to the dump. But they're like, oh, this smells terrible. It smells like decomposition. Investigate.
Yeah.
Investigate. It's not that fucking hard. It's not. Personally, I'm always suspecting to find a dead body somewhere, so I would always investigate. However, if something stinks, you definitely don't want to look at it, but you have to.
If it stinks that bad, you gotta find something. I mean, come on. There's gotta be certain parts that are gonna stink worse than others. I
know, but they didn't look at it. They didn't go inside and investigate the smell.
I mean, either way, once you're bulldozing it, I mean...
A limb or something, you know?
Exactly. I mean, what are the odds it's just you pick up a scoop of dirt and it just has an entire body in it still covered and you don't ever see it?
Well, if you think about it, he put Samantha's body in a box, so he could have put their bodies in a box.
Yeah, but still.
He strangled the wife.
By the time a body decomposes, it's gonna destroy the box. Same thing as if you leave a box out in the rain.
I know, but I mean, human bodies have a lot of acid inside of it, so it eats through anything. Unless you put a bag or something in it. Put it in a bag. They say if you put a human body on concrete in like a Texas sun, it'll actually eat through the concrete. So it would eat through a box. But they didn't find anything. They just said it smelled.
Your stomach acid is on par with hydrochloric acid for the most part.
I'm just saying the human body is disgusting. So the police continued to talk to Israel, and he talked about 8 other murders, talked about like this girl here, that guy there, I did this, but they hadn't confirmed any information or given this direct names because he didn't know the names of a lot of victims since they were random. He made one look like an accident, they said, so like they wouldn't suspect him. That's the only body they found other than Samantha's, because obviously he told them where to go. But he made one look like an accident so that no one would suspect him, and he got away with it, so he was really proud of that kill in particular. Now, he committed suicide in jail in 2012, leaving a 4-page note behind, which was like him trying to be like a poet. I read it, and it's like just trying to be like super deep and stuff, like a poet, and that's not worth even reading to you guys. But it had no extra information on it. You can find it online if you want to investigate it for possible clues. Sometimes suicide notes contain clues, but it didn't give any other information for the families or victims that we know of. Now, what do you think? I think he's a coward for just committing suicide randomly.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, it's stupid.
Like he just gave 8 more crimes, just like gave the information. They were trying to connect like whose name it was and stuff.
Yeah.
And he just offed himself because he thought that the press was going to find out and give information to his daughter. At that point, it's already out, bro. What the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean,
offing yourself does not stop your daughter from finding out.
No,
if anything, it drags your mystery on and makes us want to talk about it more.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Just in the poem to his daughter.
The 4-page suicide poem about like how he's fucking everything? No. Yeah. No.
Put it in the newspaper. Take a newspaper.
Oh, it's everywhere now, honey. This is a very popular case.
I know.
Most people don't know about it because it is pretty new. Like 2012 is pretty new. But like, it's weird that it's one of the most dangerous men I've ever thought about because it's like there's no motive. He's literally everywhere and we have no way to connect him to anything. There's no certain victim profile, there's no gender, there's no age, there's no sex, there's no, well, sex and gender, same thing. But yeah, there's no anything to connect them, and he's everywhere, so you can't ever tell where he was and where he wasn't. Like if you took a flight to a city like Albany, New York, where he committed a lot of crimes, he would drop the body off 3 hours later and they wouldn't know that, oh, this is a missing person from this town. They would think it's from a different place, so they never connected him. So the kill buckets is pretty creative. I've never heard of that shit before. Pretty creative, but at the same time, like how many more are there? They only found 3 of them that he led them to.
Turn it into a geocaching game.
That's exactly what it is, right? That's what Paul Holes said.
Who's that?
Our Lord and Savior Paul Holes, who solved the Golden State Killer case.
He's not my Lord and Savior.
Yes, he is. He's the true crime everything. Yes, I have a huge crush on Paul Holes, by the way. Paul Holes, I love you.
Great. Another one. Just so you know, if you're an old middle-aged man with big arms, my girlfriend loves you more than me.
Shut up, no. I don't think Paul Holes has like huge arms, but he looks great in the blazer. He has a great deep voice. He knows so much. He was a detective, a cold case detective. It's so attractive. We basically think there's no way to connect these crimes. But if you were an FBI agent in charge of this case, how would you go about trying to figure out anything? There's a list of the places he's been, but that's not really anything because you can drive places with a rental car.
So with nothing to go off of, right? For the most part,
except crimes left behind.
No. With nothing to go off of, what I would do is... Actually, I just had another thought. So 2 things I would do is, the only thing you have to go off of is the information you have now, right? You found a few of his little buckets, right?
Right.
Is there anything common scenery-wise that might connect these? Or that might lead you to say, hey, this looks like somewhere he might bury a bucket for the most part, which even that's very, very vague. I mean,
babe, that's the woods. That's anywhere.
I know. Then from there, what I would do is try and correlate it to, are there any missing persons cases, things that never got solved or anything like that over the country, which that list is going to be huge. I understand that.
Well, at least you don't have to look for bodies. Like, these are all unsolved missing people.
That's what I'm saying, is look there, and then from that point, I mean, try and figure out, does this kind of fit his profile?
There is no profile.
Well, no, obviously he's a tourist, right? So he kills when he travels.
Opportunity.
Right? So he kills when he travels when there's an opportunity. So
there's always an opportunity.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to see what the kills are. Like, is it a tourist type area that he finds?
No.
Is it?
No.
Yeah.
No, he just went to random places for literally no reason or for work or something. But no, there's no like major cities he went in. These are usually like urban areas, it seems like, where he just like found a little couple in the middle of nowhere in Vermont, like living their best life, and was like, oh, there's a couple here I could take on to.
Well, then all I could possibly suggest is,
you're not going to connect them.
Get the local populace involved. Let them know, hey, like, for those places that might have a missing persons case or unsolved anything like that, but like, hey, you know, be on the lookout for this, right? If years down the road somebody finds one of these buckets out of nowhere, you know,
look for a crime in the area near it.
Or just turn it in, right? Because at least then's right. So it can go, you know, you might just say, hey, this is our story. At that point, you would have to go public with it.
Ooh, right? But I have an issue with that.
What
if once he uses the buckets, he gets rid of the buckets? Like, he's already used it, he gets rid of it. Then you would not know.
See, I wouldn't know that because we don't know if he did that with the murders that he did commit.
I know. Well, he lived in Alaska, the one that they did solve, like, because he lived there and he messed up his MO, don't do where you live. Yeah. So he didn't need a bucket there because he lived there. Yeah. But anyways, I don't really have anything else for today's case other than, like, what the fuck? You can't solve this. There's no way you know how many men. He killed 100 people. You don't know. The planning ahead is really fascinating to me. Like 2 years ahead of time before you came back to this bucket. The planning. Like, oh, I may kill someone here someday. Let's just drop some stuff off. That's weird. Also, how many guns did he own? Was they registered to him? Did he just, like, buy them randomly? I need to know that.
Honestly, actually, now the more that I think about it, the first thing I would probably do is, as much of a pain in the butt as it would be, track his life. Basically, like, from the time of, you know, just military to after that, track his life. Where has he been? Where did he travel to? You know, as best he can. Of course, then again, whenever he kidnapped somebody, he used their money to travel, so.
No, he only did it the one time.
Okay.
That's how he got caught.
Okay, well then at that point, that's what I would do.
I think he got too cocky at the end and just, like, fucked it up.
It's just track his life, try and determine everywhere he went.
They did.
And start there.
They did.
Right?
It's all over the map.
It doesn't matter though. You gotta start somewhere. Just look for everywhere he went. Are there any missing persons cases or anything like that reported around that time?
You know there's like 615,000 missing people?
I know. I'm just saying. I didn't say it was gonna be easy. I'm just saying that.
I honestly think they gave up on this case.
After
the last couple of years, like, he was right. We're not getting it. I was like, I feel that. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Also, he had this weird sex thing. Like, he raped all the bodies, right? So he at least raped 4 people that we know of. He would sometimes rape people and let them go, but at least 8 people that he killed, he had sex with. He had a really weird thing. Like, anytime people would be like, why did you rape the body? Or did you assault the body after they were dead and stuff? He would get, like, really shady about it. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. We can go a different route with this. I don't have to talk at all. He was really sexually pent up in there. Which I feel like people have a weird sex thing. It probably was like his childhood. I feel like that was weird. I feel like people have a weird sex complex. Need to get that taken care of.
Don't we all?
I did for a long time. But now I don't have an issue with it.
No, you're just a fucking horn monster.
Thank you, babe. I don't know. I just feel like people who have a weird thing about not wanting to talk about sex need to work through that and get over it. So Israel, Keys, spirit, whatever, get through it.
He don't have a spirit. He's burning in hell.
Well, actually, in his little suicide note, he says you're nothing but just like meat after you're dead. There's nothing else. So anyways, thank you, honey, for joining me for today's case that we have 0 answers to.
It's always the fun ones.
Is it? Like Maura Murray, I'm just like, where did she go? And then I'm like, did Israel Keys take Maura Murray as a crime of opportunity because she was stranded on the street? near Vermont. We're never going to find Maura Murray, you guys. We're never going to find Maura Murray. Someone, I know that was our first case like 18 episodes ago, but someone find Maura Murray, please. I can't stop thinking about it. Thank you, honey, for joining me for today's case and dealing with my ramblings.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
That's what I signed up for.
Thank you. Bye.